Hello. It's time for another devotional. Hope you're having a great day here in where I'm in Halifax. It's a beautiful day out there. It's very tempting to be outside today, but I hope you're wherever you are, you're also having a beautiful day. Um, we're here in Proverbs chapter 8, verse 26 today, and we've been working our way down through this speech that wisdom gives us. Wisdom being presented here in Proverbs 8 as if it was a woman speaking to us about being about knowing her, being in a relationship with her, and so she's saying how wisdom, how she was there at the beginning of creation, and how God created everything with wisdom. You know that wisdom was the foundation, and from this we get this idea of how God used order and reason and the idea and even the moral goodness of what wisdom is, what godly wisdom is, to create everything. And so we see it in everything. And so she's using poetry in these last couple of verses that we've been reading. She's been using poetry to refer to this and referring to the creation of the world, the foundations of the world, and the mountains, and so on. And here in verse 26, she says, while he had not yet made the earth and the fields, nor the first dust of the world. And so in the previous verse, she's talking about the mountains and the lofty things. And as I said in the last devotional, just while it's poetry about the actual mountains, there's also this sense of, the lofty things, the big things, the grand things, and how God used wisdom in the creation of those structures, both physical and social, that God did it. And here in this verse, it's similar, is that we see, well, when he had not yet made the lowly things, the common things like the earth, the ground we walk on, the dust of the world, and this reference to the fields, like the farms. And so we get this kind of idea of he created those lofty things with wisdom, and he creates the common things with wisdom, just the regular things, the basic things of life. God has made life to work in very simply logical, sensible, wise, good ways. And this is a reminder of that sometimes we think of having God's wisdom in the big decisions of life, the really big things that matter a lot, like those mountains, right? And like who am I going to choose to marry, or what career am I going to do? And we think, God, I would like to have your wisdom in those things. And then we just sort of ignore God's wisdom in the other parts of life, but God's wisdom was meant to be applied not just with the lofty, mountain-sized things, but also with the just common everyday lowly things like the dust of the earth, like the earth, the ground, the soil, the fields, the farming, the day-to-day life. God meant for his wisdom to be in that, and we see that it works. That when we apply God's wisdom to the common everyday life that we live, it works. It makes our lives better. There's good things about it. It leads to life and better life. And so the wisdom becomes not just the foundation of the great, but also the foundation of the common. And so it becomes foundational to our life. We actually can sort of, think about it too, the idea of the simplicity of wisdom, that God, I would argue that it's actually one of the Christian principles, is that is the principle of simplicity. And by that, I don't mean simplistic. I mean non-complex, right? Simplicity, that God actually made life with some complicated things in it, but in general, life is meant to be kind of easy. You can do it by accident. You can live by accident, right? You can live each day. You live while you're sleeping and unconscious. Your body keeps doing its things, and you're still alive. So there's a simplicity in life as well that God built in there. And yes, we can do some very complex things in life, but the living of life in God's wisdom wasn't meant to be one of those complex things. It's actually meant to be just a very everyday thing that we can learn the goodness of God, and we can learn the ways of God and apply them to just the way you wake up in the morning and the way you go to sleep at night, and what you do with your day in between. And there's a real goodness, a real moral goodness, I would say, to learning to live life simply, without the need to pursue things all the time, but with the satisfaction and the contentment that comes with being able to thank God for the day-to-day daily bread we get, and for the day-to-day sun and rain that we get, and the day-to-day that we walk on the earth and in the fields. That there's a simplicity of that that's really very desirable and really very good, and actually is a part of wisdom. I would say that what our wisdom that is not wisdom to overly complicate your life, that it actually will cause a fatigue of its own, a striving, and that results in anxiety, that results in discontentment, increases our amount of coveting we do, and just the simple decision fatigue of having to make decisions about so many things every day because you got so many balls in the air, you got so many things on the go, and I think God, this verse isn't saying this directly, but I think the idea of that God made a world where wisdom isn't even the simple things is that there is actually a wisdom in pursuing the simple things and having a life that's not lazy and not careless, but a life that's not overly complicated, and then just trusting God day to day. And there's His wisdom in that. And so I guess that's my encouragement for you today. Something to think about. I know in our culture, the culture I live in, there is, and I keep looking out my window because that sun is shining so beautifully out there. I'm like, oh, it'd be a nice simple day to go out and just enjoy the sun. Um, but our culture is built into us the need to succeed all the time, to do the next thing, and build more and have more and acquire more and build mountains out of our lives. And sometimes it's just good to remember that God actually he just can bless us so richly in just living a simple life, and that's worth remembering. Anyway, God bless you today. Have a great day, whether you're under rain or shine, sun or clouds, whatever your day is. I pray you're blessed. And we'll see you next time as we do verse 27. Take care.